Welcome to Caseback Watches. My name is Tim, and in this episode we're speaking about the Universe, the Universo. Direnzo, very interesting brand, founded by Sergio Godoy, and they combine Swiss-made technologies, Swiss-made manufacturing standards with very interesting designs. Inspired a bit by 60s or other influences. I think I compared one of their watches with the movie Tron, because there you had these 80s aesthetics. Other were inspired by 60s airline design, and the first watch I had here was the Mondial. Blue dial, large watch, integrated bracelet, and with this curved dial and very interesting hands, really inspired by aviation from the 60s, and so very cool watch. And then I was in contact often with Sergio. I didn't like every watch by Direnzo. Some of them I found a bit clumsy or too big for me personally, but they all had this very, very special vibe. And his latest watch is the Direnzo DRZ07 Universo, and the name tells you this should be a watch for everyday use, so handsome enough to sport it during formal events, but also with robust specs, with a water resistance of 100 meters, with a coating that hardens the watch against scratches. And Sergio has managed to bring us that watch well under the 1,000 euro mark, well under the 1,000 US dollar mark, so that it's in reach for a lot of people. But enough introduction. Now let's go into the light box. Let's check it out. Alright, and here we are with our two samples, two Direnzo DRZ07 Universo watches. And as said, we have a lot of options, we have a lot of dial colors, materials, date, no date, and so I opted here for a gray one and a blue one, and no date, so that we can check out everything. But first let's go over the basic specifications here. This is an automatic watch with a case diameter of 37.5 millimeters. The length lug to lug here is 45, the height 10.8 including the crystal, and the lug width here is 20. Then we have a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating. We have a screw down crown and a water resistance of 100 meters. And inside is the Sellita SW200-1 Elaboré caliber, so high quality caliber, very nice. The watch comes on this metal bracelet, this Jubilee bracelet. There you go. And the price for this ensemble here is 750 Swiss francs, which are pretty much exactly 750 euros, but you have to include your VAT. And it's pretty much close to 750 US dollars, so that's the price for this watch. And the watch has one special feature. This is the coating. Every metal part you see here has a coating, which brings it up to 800 vigors, which is much harder than normal steel. And this is very handy because you cannot scratch these surfaces here so easily. So these watches here will maintain their new look for a long time. And I said this before and I checked it, actually it works. I mean, it will not work over decades. I assume there are some limits to it, but it's not so easy to scratch these watches, which is, I think, a very nice feature to have, especially when you consider the price of the pieces. But all right, now let's go into the dial. Typical Direnzo dial. This is one aspect I really enjoy here, that you can spot these watches, or you can spot this brand from a distance. So this is very nice. By the way, when Sergio writes you greeting card, then it looks like this. Then you have a nice 60s stewardess, and we are a bit in the 60s, or at least these designs are influenced by by these playful, cheerful designs of that decade. So we have a very legible thing here. We have these arrow type indices. We have a very simple set of hands, but functional. We have a nice lollipop with nice correspondence between lollipop and these smaller indices here. But what's really spectacular here is this bowl-like dial you see here, right? You see a bowl-like dial, so you don't have any form of sharp edges. You don't have a let's say drastic rehaut. You have this smooth transition from the middle of the dial, where the blue is very bright, into the darker area, and this looks really organic and nice. and we've seen these on other Direnzos as well, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. Then we have a nicely implemented date on position 6 in that small window, but I think the stunner here is really the sunburst effect together with that curve of that bowl-like dial. And that's basically it, what you can explore here. Let's compare it here with the gray dial. You see very similar in impact, but a bit like a color TV, and then you have the same TV show on an older TV, right? It looks a bit like that. And then of course you find here the Swiss made on both watches, because we have Swiss made pieces here, and this leads to a very high manufacturing standard. So these pieces here are immaculate. We can now speak a bit about the case. There you go. You have a bit of Rolex DNA in it, I would say. A bit of Datejust DNA. We have a very generous bezel. Also a bit like a Datejust. You could imagine now here these typical Datejust bezels, but here it's without any form, without any decoration. It's very elegant with a radial brushing. Radial brushing with modernizes the thing a bit, I think. Then here you have high polished surfaces, and this is the reason why I find this coating so handy and so good to have. There's the crown with that little dot, very subtle. So that's the case. Then we have a very good transition, as far as I can see, between end links, solid end links, and the lugs. Lugs a bit beveled, also like a Datejust. And of course we have the Jubilee bracelet, which I absolutely enjoy. I'm not super objective here because I'm just a fan of Jubilee bracelets, but I've seen bad ones and good ones, and this is one of the good ones. I mean, with the Jubilee bracelet, you will never have this super stiff appearance. You will always have a bit of play and a bit of this rattling sound, but here it's very, very good. It's very limited, and you need this play, by the way, to make the thing comfortable, and this here is really, really good. Really nice bracelet. Then you have here the clasp. For me personally, a bit too large, that thing here, but this is often my problem with these type of clasps, these folding clasps, but alright, it's not really a negative. And here you have something interesting. This is a on-the-fly adjustment by Nodex, you see there. And people had a bit of a debate if this is a good system or not. I think it's fairly new, and it's very easy to manipulate. You just push the button, and then you can alter the bracelet size. And people ask if this works properly, and yeah, what can I tell you? It works like that. You push the button, and then you alter it, and this is then perfectly stiff and in place. And so all I can tell you, this works fine without any form of malfunction. And so I find this pretty good, to be honest, pretty handy. And now let's operate it. You may note that this is a rather small crown, and it's not super comfortable to open here, but we have to see we have a good regulated movement. We have an automatic watch, and so there is no need to manipulate every day here, but it's not super comfortable, but it looks good. It looks very subtle and handsome, I must say. So I'm willing to take this, but if you are used to very comfortable crown, then you can mark now a little minus. All right, the thread here works just fine. Again, feels a bit like an older Rolex because of no crown guards. And then you have position 2, and this is just nice connection between hands and crown. Very satisfying to operate, very precise, very easy, hackable movement. The date is changing in a second. There you go, all good. Position 1 is for the quick set. This works fine. By the way, it's not so easy to make this date centered in this type of date window, because you see really small tolerances, but this here is very good. All right, now let's close it again. By the way, typical Sellita sound, hand winding action feels okay. And there you go. This is the functionality of the watch. Works fine. I've also altered both bracelets and this was pretty easy. You see there are screws and so was absolutely no problem at all. Alright, and now let's put one on the wrist here in the light box and the other outside. And there you go. 17 centimeter wrist. 37 millimeter case diameter. Very comfortable. Very comfortable on the wrist, thanks to the Jubilee bracelet, thanks to the small crown, thanks to the diameter, and so I'm very happy with that. And now let's go out. Alright, welcome back. Less information here. The watch will be available from March the 3rd on. You can buy directly from Direnzo on their website. And now a little information on my own behalf. The product you see here is a watch case made especially for watches with steel bracelets or even integrated steel bracelets. And it's available at casebackwatches.com, the online shop that keeps everything here independent and afloat with high quality products made in Germany. And as said, this case here will store and protect your watches, especially when they come on metal bracelets. Alright, that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for your attention and until next time.